I'm Mason Horner. I'm a junior at Zionsville. I am in anatomy class. I was tasked this semester, instead of doing a final this year, I am doing a final presentation to Zionsville moms about preventative health care for your children and for you. I don't actually know how many people are going to be on this, but hopefully I can get just a few people, because I need proof that I did this, and I just want some listening ears, because I know you Zionsville moms will care the most about what I have to say in terms of your children's mental health. What I'll be talking about is preventing your kids from having mental illnesses in the future, and ways that you can help take care of them through diet, exercise, and other methods in order to help protect them in the future. So first of all, I'll start out with your brain. Your brain starts out pretty small, like that. And eventually, it starts to get larger. But with that come complications. Your brain becomes old and can have different issues, different mutations that cause it to have dysfunctions. And this can lead to different disorders like anxiety. This is something that would include PTSD, depression, and these are things that we obviously would like to prevent for our children and ourselves. One thing that I would like to share is just the basic anatomy of the brain. The brain is composed of neurons, and these neurons are like little hands. And it starts out with these little fingers right here. These are called terminal buttons. These terminal buttons are what send an electrical signal to something called a dendrite. And so basically, this is just a series of these little cells throughout your brain that are sending chemical and electrical signals. And over time, as you use them, these electrical signals, these carriers, can grow and become more hardy and more efficiently carry different messages through your brain. So basically right here I have one of those connections between the terminal buttons and the dendrites. And as the message is passed on, this dendrite will begin to grow and begin to be bigger and basically dig a rut into your brain's neural pathway in order to make things easier. This is why you're able to learn skills in your everyday life, why certain activities that you do a lot get easier, and why certain sports become easier for your kids and you when you were playing sports as a kid. And one thing that goes along with this is the method. How does your brain do this? Obviously, it can't just do it on its own without anything. It requires tools. And these tools would include one of the biggest, which was discovered about 4 decades ago, called BDNF. It stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor is a protein compound that's found in all of your body and mostly your brain. This is one of the main tools used to grow your neural pathways and for you to adapt to new things and to basically increase the size of your brain, literally by increasing the size of your neurons. And this is something that can help with memory. It can keep your hippocampus, which is in charge of memory, from decreasing in size as you age. And then actually, you can increase the size of your hippocampus through doing this. So for now, we'll just call this BDNF. And I want to basically set it out now that the correlation between BDNF and your mental health is what I'll be talking about in order to help prevent certain mental complications later on in life. These are going to be ways that you can influence your children, ways that you can influence your husbands and other people in your life in order to help them become more healthy and allow them to have a better quality of life later on. One of the first ways might seem obvious to you. It's just exercising your brain. This is going to be challenging your brain throughout your life. So as a kid, you may think that your children are being challenged enough at home, and they can, at school, and they can come home and have fun, and they can go hang out with their friends. But in actuality, it's important to keep them challenged at home too. So that would include different things like reading. Always be reading a book. That's something that is really hard to find the time for, but reading a book, learning new information, something that's new to you, a variety of information is going to carve out new neural pathways that you aren't using necessarily in everyday life. And this is going to help just improve the structure and capabilities of your brain as you grow older. And this goes for children, but also you adults. So this is going to also include things on the computer and on your TV. You can find an educational program on TV to watch, something that has either something that you're interested in or something new. That's also great too, is just find a new hobby and get good at it. Find another hobby and get good at it, something that you enjoy, or find a new taste in something, a new acquired taste. This is obviously the most basic way in terms of your brain speaking, but there are also other ways. I said earlier that it's called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, this BDNF protein that improves brain plasticity, your brain's ability to grow. That originally, 40 years ago, when they found this, it was called brain-derived. But recently, it's been found in studies that brain-derived neurotrophic factor is being found in other areas of your body. It's excreted by your blood. It's found in your stomach, coming from your muscles. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about, is different ways, not just with your brain, but ways you can use exercise and diet to improve your levels of BDNF and hence decrease your chances of having certain mental and cognitive issues later on in life. So the first way I'd say is exercise. You always want to be exercising and staying active. Don't let your kids just sit at home and play video games all day. You might have heard that video games are a great way to keep your kid active with their brain. There are a lot of studies that are promoting that. But while that's true, that it's getting your brain exercised and exciting new neural pathways, it's just digging a rut in one specific area because they're playing certain video games for hours on end and not finding any variety. And it's also just not healthy to have the same kind of mental exercise. And so obviously your brain exercise is going to help. And the way it does that is your muscles, when they are being excited through exercise for prolonged periods of time, they're going to begin to literally excrete BDNF. And that's only been found recently in the past decade that your muscles can do that. Specifically, what I'm talking about is aerobic exercise. Aerobic exercise is any prolonged period of excitement of your muscles. I'm not talking football where you're having just like mere seconds for each play and then you get a break. I'm talking go on even a walk a day can help. For runners, it's been found that anybody who runs daily, whether it's for a sport or casually, you have up to a 50% less chance of getting Alzheimer's or Parkinson's. And that's really exciting, I know, for me, and just to see how exercise can directly affect your brain and your mental health. Another way would just be walking. A study was done about 10 years ago with people over the age of 65. They had these people walk for a year where they were walking every day for just a few minutes, and then that added up to about 40 minutes per week. And the group of 65 and up year olds, they actually had significantly higher levels of BDNF than the control group that didn't walk at all. And that's one way that they've proven that just a small change in your lifestyle can greatly improve your BDNF levels. It was found in those same patients and subjects that whereas the average growth of your hippocampus, that section of your brain involving memory and other vital functions of your body, it was found that on average, someone in their adulthood, their hippocampus will shrink up to 2% a year. And that adds up over the years, because that's only per year, and you're living up to 70 years, and that's maybe, you have like 50 years of your adulthood where it's shrinking. And that is what eventually can lead to Alzheimer's and other cognitive issues and impairments. And in those people that were walking, it was found that they actually increased their hippocampus size by 2% and up. So not only can you pause this process of shrinking and degrading of your brain, but you can reverse it. And really just through a small lifestyle change, you can make big leaps in your mental health and preventative care. A second way, in terms of non-brain exercise, would be with your diet. And that starts with something called your gut flora. Your gut flora is the bacteria count in your gut, literally. And that is something that, if you didn't know this already, you can have 2 to 6 pounds of just raw bacteria floating around in your body. And most of that is concentrated in your stomach. And so in your stomach, around the lining, you'll have tons of bacteria lodged in the walls of your stomach. And when you eat things that are processed, they're not going to be introducing new bacteria. These bacteria are good. We're not going to think of bacterial infections or anything. We're thinking good bacteria. Things that introduce that would be going outside, introducing your children to new bacteria. So one really beneficial thing is going on certain like faraway vacations. Many people get worried that their children are going to be exposed to new sicknesses, where that's true, but for the most part, in most cases, you're simply being introduced to new bacteria. And these bacteria are going to be staying in your gut for the rest of your life. They'll grow and stay there. And these bacteria interact with the food you eat and break it down just in your stomach lining and produce chemicals. And one of these chemicals is BDNF. They can break down and produce BDNF from the food you eat. So it's very important to stay outside and active and introducing yourself to new bacteria and environments. One thing that can inhibit this is antibiotics. Antibiotic drugs that you are just jumping to asking your doctor for when you see the first symptoms of being sick. That's not the best way to go. There are other reasons why that's not the best decision, but one would be that it can, while those medicines are targeted towards your sickness, they can also affect the health of your gut flora. And so with your gut flora, you can also improve that through drinking probiotic drinks. Your kids might call you crazy when they hear the word probiotic in the morning, and you want them to eat something that has more organic material in it, and that's not so sterile like processed foods. But it's true, they genuinely do help, not just with your bodily health, but with your mental health. Those things are going to introduce new bacteria and promote the growth of your gut flora. And consequentially, you will see higher rates of BDNF in your body, which can have a significant effect on your state of mind in terms of depression and anxiety. That's why you see such a high correlation with junk food and depression and anxiety. And so that's just one way, like 2 ways, your exercise and diet. Another thing I'd like to add is that your social interactions, being happy, getting out there, meeting new people, and exercising your amygdala, your emotional center in your brain, is another way to greatly improve your BDNF levels. These interactions that you have every day are what are going to keep your mental health high, because serotonin, a neurotransmitter that is heavily correlated with happiness, and cortisol, which is involved in stress, those are highly tied to BDNF levels. When you're really stressed and your child is really stressed with school, that's going to increase their levels of cortisol, which can actually lower your BDNF levels. So it's important to make sure that your kids have a balanced lifestyle, that they get the downtime they need, that they're going to be able to sit down and just relax, get that power nap, because it's not just adults that need that. And then that they also are getting their social interactions and meeting new people and doing things that they are passionate about to improve their levels of serotonin, which can improve your levels of BDNF. And so that's really it, all I have for you guys. Just ways that you can increase your BDNF levels to consequentially decrease your likelihood of having mental illnesses and impairments later on in life. And I know you guys are very passionate about your children, and that's the main thing for you guys. So that's why I wanted to share this specifically with you guys. Thanks again. My name is Mason Horner again, for those of you that didn't hear at the beginning. I'm a junior at Zionsville, and this is my final presentation. I'm going to sit here and let you guys comment and maybe ask questions. If you don't have questions now, feel free to just DM or Facebook message Allison, my stepmom, or my mom, Erin Vonderheide. They both will send them to me and I can answer your questions. Or you can go online, because there's tons of resources. This is something that is recently being studied and researched very heavily, and I see it's only the beginning from what I've seen online, and you guys won't have any trouble finding more about this online. Dietitians are starting to get into it, and it's something that you'll see a lot more. So yeah, questions, if you guys have any. I kind of need to show my teacher tomorrow that I have proof that you guys actually were engaged and have questions. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys ask questions, whether it's, now or later on when you guys have thought about this a little bit more. I hope at the very least that you guys have heard what I have to say and can maybe even take this into account and consider making some changes or emphasizing different lifestyles you guys already have. Thank you.